into the second goal that I wanted to discuss with you all today. And that is the U.S. Sustainable Development Goal, clean water and sanitation. And I tell you, this goal I was quite enlightened myself, having traveled across the world and lived across the world. There was so much about the conversation of clean water and sanitation that I personally was unaware of and enlightened, spending some time on the UN Sustainable Development Goal website and reading about the conversation of clean water and sanitation. So let me dive in with straight with some facts about this conversation. So get this. Worldwide, 1 in 3 people do not have access to drinking water. So it's 2 out of 5 people do not have basic hand washing facility with soap and water, and at least 892 million people continue to practice open defecation. So let's just pick apart first. 1 in 3 people do not have access to drinking water. So think about this. We as everyday people probably take for granted the access and the blessing of clean water. You know, it's nothing for us to get up in the morning, we go into the bathroom, we brush our teeth, we take a shower, we move about our day, we go into the kitchen and cook us breakfast and pour a little water to cook our oatmeal or use a little water to do without even thinking. It's just like a natural day-to-day exercise that we do in the context of using water. The access to drinking water, you know, we go to the store and buy huge containers of bottled water, or some of us in our homes have that service where you have the filtered water or the filtered on the sink to have clean water. I mean, and it's just a natural way of living for many of us. But think about 1 in 3 people worldwide do not have access to safe drinking water. The ability to wash their hands, you know, something that we have heard constantly during this period of COVID-19 of keeping your hands clean and good sanitation. 1 in 3 people, 2 out of 5 people don't even have that ability to wash their hands. So think about the incredible and very difficult situations that many places across the world are experiencing during COVID-19 because there's not even access to clean water, drinking water, ability to wash your hands. And then the conversation about 892 million people still practice open defecation. What does that mean? So that means there's no access to a toilet. Now think about that. We go in our homes, we get up, we go use the bathroom, or we may be out eating somewhere and we go into a bathroom and use the ladies' room or the men's room. The whole idea that you could be living in an area, living in a demographic, living in a home that doesn't even have a toilet. That's hard to believe for many of us, all of us, because it's second nature for all of us. 1 in 4 healthcare facilities lack basic water services. So think about when you get sick and have to go to an urgent care, or you have to go to the hospital or the ER, and it's not even a thought that there wouldn't be water available. So 1 in 4 healthcare facilities across the world lack basic water services. That's hard to believe. That's very hard to believe. 3 in 10 people lack access to safely managed drinking water services, and 6 in 10 people lack access to safely managed sanitation facilities. And so, and then the last that I want to say, 2.4 billion people lack access to basic sanitation services, such as toilets and things like that. My mind was blown when I was looking at these statistics and recognizing the tremendous lack of access that demographics across the world. And you can even say in some areas that I have personally seen, even in America, some disadvantaged, very low income areas in America don't have basic access to drinking water and sanitation facilities or toilets in their homes or in facilities. So I think outside of education, that clean water and sanitation is one of the most important goals that the UN is discussing. And it's something for us to think about. First of all, it definitely should make us all sit and say, we are blessed. We are very blessed that we don't have the we don't have the burden to have to get up and walk, miles and miles and miles. That I'm thinking about uh, places across the world that I have seen. Visiting South Africa and the extreme poverty there, where young kids are having to walk miles and miles and miles for their family just to get access to water somewhere and bring it back to their home or their villages. In the news, we've seen a lot about how the pandemic has really caused a lot of suffering and strain in disadvantaged areas, underdeveloped areas. The migrant villages where migrant workers live in India, extreme poverty in some of those areas where young children, young girls in particular, were having to walk, I mean, miles and miles and miles just to get clean water for their homes. And so, which brings to a point, the UN speaks a lot about some of the disadvantages for young women and young girls. We talked about that in education specifically. Here, again, another conversation where women and girls are responsible for water collection in 80% of households without access to water on the premises. So the lack of clean water and sanitation affects gender. The same way we saw that the lack of education affects young girls and women because of some of the built-in pathways within demographics where young girls are more confined to the home, where young boys are given the immediate access to education. Here we see in the goal of clean water and sanitation that women and girls are responsible for going out and having to collect water for households without water on the premises. And that additional role is affecting gender in many communities across the world. And so I think that it is especially during COVID-19, especially during this very difficult period that we're all experiencing, where we are constantly being reinforced to wash our hands, keep things clean, sanitize, that it is definitely revealing the realities of inequality amongst parts of the world, because there is not sufficient, or in many cases, there isn't access at all to clean water and sanitation. And so it's something for us, something for you as a young leader to ponder. The next time you walk into your bathroom to wash your hands or to use the toilet, or you walk into the kitchen to pour some water into a pan to start cooking, or you walk into a convenience store to buy a bottle of water on a hot day. Think about places across the world that don't have that luxury, that don't have the luxury just to walk in and use the toilet or to wash their hands, or that have to walk miles and miles and miles just to get access to water. This, I believe, very, very close to education, is one of the most important goals that the UN is addressing. And all of us, even in our conditions now where we are confined to home or what have you, we can all start to think about ways that we can serve to help bring greater access to water, clean sanitation to disadvantaged communities. And it may be just as simple as educating on foundations or organizations that are already doing this at a very large level. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I encourage you to go on and read about their foundation and the work that they're doing specifically to addressing clean water and sanitation in underdeveloped areas across the world. Think about how you could say every day, just save $1 or $5 every day that you could put away, that you could give to a foundation like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or directly to the UN and other entities that could go a long way, stretch a long way in helping areas that are in need of clean water and sanitation. So before you go out and buy that ice cream, this summer, or spend $5 or on something else, think about putting away that $5 that you can give to an entity to help bring clean water and sanitation to areas across the world.